Hello, welcome to Simple Life Philosophy. I'm your host, Ed Raby, and this is the channel where we follow along with my life as I search for a philosophy of life that is both simple to understand and simple to execute. Just make sure that you like, share the video if you like it. Anything to help out the YouTube algorithm as I continue to try to grow and become monetized someday, hopefully. But right now, I'm just doing this because I enjoy talking about philosophy and how my life is going. And today is one of those more of a vlog post, I guess, just more for me personally to kind of look back to. Maybe a year from now, looking through these backlogs for next year, I'll stumble across this video and go, yeah, that's what I was thinking at the time, and things have changed, and how have they changed. But today, I'm talking about some of the things I generally deal with, and the thumbnail's like it's fine, everything's fine. And anybody who's ever knows when people say that, it really doesn't necessarily mean everything's fine. In fact, a lot of people, that's really sometimes their cry for help, but nobody ever, well, they just said it was fine. I remember this week I saw a cartoon with a guy who's being sworn in to, to give a testimony in front of a court, and he says, "I absolutely swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, unless you ask me how I'm feeling, and then it's going to be fine. No matter how I'm actually feeling, it's going to be I'm fine." So this week has been a week of me telling people, I guess I'm fine, and 80% of the time is probably true. I don't like to burden. I guess one of my struggles, and one of the things that my therapist and I talk about quite a bit, is my inability to actually express my emotions constructively. Okay, I mean, you can overdo it, and sometimes you got to learn to control your emotions. Stoicism is kind of helping me take responsibility for them, and minimalism and essentialism are trying to boil it down to what are the essentials that I need to do. And when I look at when somebody asks me how I'm doing, now in the United States, if you're from England, that's just a standard greeting. People will ask you, "Hey man, how you doing?" And it's like, "Yeah, I'm doing fine. Hey man, how you doing?" And that's pretty much a standard greeting. You don't actually expect people to actually respond. And I don't know, it's kind of a custom in this country, and I don't know if it's all that good for us sometimes, because I really wish we said something else to greet each other. So I try to avoid that one, and just move forward. But my struggle, and I think now that I understand that this may be in part be due to autism, possibly, is that I mask really well. I know how to control my emotions, at least outwardly, and internally, I can be a completely different. It can be a completely different situation. And so, one of the things I've been trying to do is explore this, um, the idea of expressing one's emotions in a constructive manner, where people know what you're feeling and know how things are actually going. But this week has been, strangely enough, um, a struggle in some ways. 80% of the time I've said it's fine. It has been fine. But there's been a lot of, I don't know, a lot of regrets, I guess, this week that keep, coming back. And so I throw myself into other things to keep me busy, or I try to write. I actually kicked off my novel this week. I actually have a really great idea that's a combination of a lot of ideas I've had over the years, and that's been going well. I actually bought a little hydroponics planter, and I'm going to try it out. I've bought a few books on gardening. I want to see if I can maybe, I got a couple tables in my apartment. Why not set them up to grow a few things and keep myself busy? I can't really have pets, so I'll give plants a try and see if I can kill them like I usually do. So it's kind of me coping. Okay, I have a lot of coping mechanisms. I've been actually in the gym almost every day this last week and a half. It's like I feel like I'm coping, But at the other times, it's just really overwhelming, some of the stuff that I think about. My job gives me a lot of time to think now, which I really do need on one hand, but it also can be overdone. Um, I have a lot of time to myself. I think I recently said in a video, I'm swearing off dating apps. My relationship status is still single, and now I'm not even really looking. Um, I was listening to some music today, and I think there's a song that, one of the songs that came up was Foolish Heart. Steve Perry, I think Journey does that one. And it's a discussion with himself. He's like, right now he's single, but he's like, he's trying to talk to his heart, don't lead me someplace where we get hurt again. And boy, did I feel that one today. I'm just, I'm looking for real, genuine, love, I guess, attachment, whatever the hell that means. Um, and I'm trying to figure that out, but at the same time, can I really do that? You if I were to explain, somebody asked me, what goes on being autistic, it's like living with something that you can't control. It gives me a lot of advantages. For instance, I'm usually pretty calm in a crisis, which in a crisis, that's a pretty good thing to be. Um, but at the same time, it still rattles me, and then later on, I have to deal with it. I genuinely have to, like, after every day of work, I have to come home, and I usually start working on these videos about 4 o'clock, because from the time I get out of the gym and drive home, it's like about 2:30, 2:30 ish about when I get home. For about an hour, I have to do something mindless. I have to, like, play a game, do something, because my my nervous system just feels overwhelmed, and so I have to chill for a little bit. And it's actually now part of my routine to chill for an hour when I get home. And I feel like I'm wasting time, but yet it's not really a waste of time, because it puts me in the right frame of mind to do these videos and things like that. So that's kind of where I'm fine. Everything's fine, but I this crap at the edge of my brain. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some of the rest of you have experienced this. Like, I did that video a couple days ago on religion, and it kind of harkened me back to the old good old rabid atheist days. And I enjoyed doing it, but I'm also glad that I don't talk about that subject every day, because it just draws me back. It's a flashback thing. When I talk about deconversion, this is what I'm talking about. Today, had a my mother still attends the last church that, we're coming up on Mother's Day, so I'm thinking about Mother's Day, and I love my mom to death, but she brings up, the fact that her pastor just resigned. And I'm like, well, that's like two since I've been there. Neither one of them stayed longer than 3 years. They had more brains than I did. But it's like, it pulls me back to that time, okay, where I made a lot of mistakes, and now I look at that time frame, and I'm like, what was it? The fucking autism? Was it the fucking nervous system? My nervous system just shutting down, and I'm not thinking straight. I'm not doing normal things that I would do. I have these short circuits. I can't control when they happen. And there's nothing more frustrating than having, like, a condition that you can't do anything about. Like, I have allergies, but I've learned to control them by just staying away from flipping animals and staying away from like flowery stuff, flowery smells. Like I said, berry smells, that's fine. Fruit, vegetables, all that kind of stuff. I can smell that stuff and it doesn't even bother me. But it's like the flowers and the pets and all that stuff. Those are the things that set me off. So you can control that. And I feel like I'm in the same position with my autism, my possible autism. Is like, I'm trying to figure out how I can navigate this without it going off. Okay, it's like, I feel like, I don't know how you describe it. You feel like you got this thing strapped to your chest. It's like a stress meter, but I don't know where the damn numbers are. I don't know what the numbers are on the gauge, where I'm getting too close to the edge. And I don't know if other people kind of suffer that. If you have, maybe leave a comment, because this is the area I'm struggling with. 80% of the time it's fine, and it's a 20% though when it's not fine, that I'm like in the depths. Okay, I'm like really facing something like extreme loneliness, extreme depression. Thankfully, I don't get anxious that much anymore with my current job. I just kind of go and do it. So that's not a problem. I'm not homesick anymore, which is great because that was awful. There's a lot of positives. That's why I say 80, 85% of the time, it's good. It's fine. Everything's fine. And the other 15%, it's fine. Everything's fine. It's just a different attitude. I'm saying the same thing, but I know that it's different. My brain is saying it's different. So it's like trying to navigate this, and trying to find a philosophy of life that allows me to navigate it, to get past it, to get it to cooperate every now and then. I mean, it makes a lot of sense in a lot of respects because I'm able to focus probably a lot better than most people. When I study something, man, I just like go all in, and I don't quit until I found my answer, and it's worked for me well. It's given me a lot of knowledge most people don't care about. If I go to parties, I bore people, because I'll start talking about a topic that I'm really interested in, and after the first three sentences, most of the people have checked out. But it's like it's now that I know what I'm living with. It seems very likely. I just this is where I am. And I'm doing this post not so much to bore the rest of you, but I find it easier to talk about how I'm feeling and express my emotions when I do it publicly. It's weird because I used to do the same thing when I preached. And once again, flashback time, church time, flashback time. It's like I don't want to know what it's been this last 2 weeks, but it's like mentioning church by my mother, thinking about, like I'm working in the same place I worked 5 years ago, like full circle. I've come full circle. And it just brings back a lot of memories of that time where I was really struggling with a lot of anger, struggling with a lot of frustration, and yet a lot of good things are happening. Like I hit the gym regularly. I'm starting to get my routines more settled. I'm starting to connect things, and I've got like one thing I really need to work on in the morning, and I got about 3 things at night that I got to really finalize and lock down, and then my routines will be set. But it's kind of it's there, but it's not there. It's like it's 80, 85% there, and the rest of it's just not fine. It's just fine. Everything's fine, and that's kind of how I feel. And I look at this channel, and this channel has been a wonderful outlet for my creativity because I like to be a little bit creative, and I like to talk about the things that I'm interested in. At the same time, I've got to justify the time I'm doing it eventually, and I've got to be consistent. And there's a lot of things I just want to do, but I'm just not consistent with them, and that's something that I got to worry about. Maybe looking into other things may help. But I just want to kind of share, maybe some of you are struggling with some of the same things. I know a lot of you came over from the Rabid Atheist, and a lot of you are deconverts. You're struggling with it. I want to let you know that the artist formerly known as the Rabid Atheist, still struggles with deconversion to this day. And I've come to the painful conclusion that I'm probably going to struggle with it for the rest of my life. I hope I get to a point where it just doesn't matter as much, but I feel like between understanding who I am, and I now look back at some of those times in the church, some of the crisis points, some of the things where I just kind of flipped out and short-circuited and went south. Now I understand them. Okay, I'm okay. I'm fine. Everything's fine. But my nervous system is like, screw this. We're done. And then it begins to short-circuit my way of thinking, short-circuit the way I feel. And it makes me, right now, I guess I'm struggling with, can I trust myself all the time? And that's not a good place to be. I want to be able to trust myself, but I got to be able to figure out how to do it. And part of the answer is doing this channel, is what I'm saying, I is, and part of the answer is writing, and part of the answer is lifting. I'm hoping I find another coping mechanism, maybe in gardening, and maybe it's the need to find those mechanisms that help me get through this, and the more I find, the better I'll be. Well, I wanted to just check in. If you're not interested in this type of post, remember I said it was a vlog post, so if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the things that you do. Everything is appreciated. It's just amazing how we've passed 50 subscribers, and then a day later it's like 55. So the channel is getting noticed. It's kind of hit and miss right now, and it's because I gotta keep going. It's a question of time. So thank you once again for stopping by. This has been Simple Life Philosophy with your host Ed Raby. I want to thank you for being a part of this community if you are, and if you're thinking about it, hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate it. In the meantime, I'm going to just wish everybody a good day and have a great one.